What's up everybody, this is your favorite homeboy, and in this video I'm going to go over my entire Airbnb portfolio. It's just 3 homes, but you'll be surprised when you hear about the revenue, all the expenses that I'm going to break down for you. If you stay to the end of this video, I'm also going to have a real simple formula that I've come up with that I use to evaluate my future Airbnbs that I hope you'll find useful. If you're new to my channel, I'm a real estate investor and I have investments in Texas, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. In addition to that, I also own a property management company where we manage hundreds of units in the Austin, Texas, and Northern Virginia markets. I love hiking and I love skiing and traveling, and I try to do that as much as I can and use those opportunities to meet new people and discover new markets to invest in. If you love all of those things, please subscribe to this channel and hit the notifications bell to be alerted for future content. If you're interested in how my company can help you acquire and manage rental property in Austin, Texas, or Northern Virginia, you can learn more at marshillpropertymanagement.com. Now I want to start by first telling you how I got started in Airbnb investing. It all started a few years ago when I called up my friends, my college friends who live in New York, and we're over here in the Northern Virginia markets, and I wanted to come up with a fun opportunity to get together. So we thought, what's a good kind of a midway between New York and Northern Virginia? It's actually closer to them. They're probably about 2 hours away from the Poconos, and we're about 4 hours. And so we came up with the Poconos, and we just rented a house on Airbnb, and we had the best times. Our kids were wee little ones, they weren't teenagers at the time, and it was just cool catching up. The kids just have been growing up together in their own ways. You know, every now and then we'll get together and they'll see each other. So they've known each other since kids. And so we just had the best memories getting together and having fun at the Poconos. And, you know, I guess the idea just occurred to me, you know, it's like, well, why can't we get a home like this and rent it out like these guys are, the people we're staying at? And so that idea just kind of was born within me. And I shared it with my friends. Hey guys, let's get an Airbnb together. It never really went anywhere. They were busy with their things. I was busy with my things. We all had our own ways to invest. And it wasn't probably until 3 years ago when I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. I tried to see if my friends would come in with me, but I think they weren't ready at the time. So I said, I'm just gonna go for it on my own. So I bought my first home, the Great Pyrenees, 3 years ago. It wasn't in the neighborhood that I was looking for exactly, but you know what? I gave it a shot. I said, you know, it's a big home. It's got a volleyball court, which makes it unique, which is one of the criteria that you should have when you're looking for a short-term rental. And I just went for it. And before I knew it, that first year turned out pretty darn good, even in our first year of operation. And the other thing I was thinking about was, you know, I don't want to just try this investment out for myself to see if it's a good investment financially, but maybe this might be something that my company, Mars Hill, can maybe get into, not just managing long-term rentals, which is our bread and butter, but maybe even managing short-term rentals. Well, after the first year, I've got the answers to both those questions. Number one, this is viable as an investment. Number two, I don't want my company managing these because it's a lot of work. And it's not just retooling a few things in the company, you've got to build it out completely different. So I decided I don't want my company involved, but personally I do want to be involved. And over the next 2 years, I acquired 2 more properties. So now I have 3 properties in my portfolio. 2021 was the first year I had a full year with all 3 homes. So how much did I make in revenue? I made $472,040.56. Give me a thumbs up for those 56 cents because I worked really hard for every single penny. Not just me, but my wife and my whole team. So over the 3 homes, we grossed just about $472,000. It took about 176 bookings to get there, which is about 59 bookings per property. Now, if you remember from my previous videos, I try to use an average of about 52 bookings per property because for me, I don't like to just cram people in every weekend and every weekday. I like to have a little margin. I like to have a property that can perform without having to have myriad of bookings. So 52 bookings per year to get me to my goal, that's great. If I get 59, that's just icing on the cake. I'm not pushing it. So I'm really happy that that's my average. Now the average length of stay, this is something I always look at, is 73% of those were weekend or long weekend, which means 2-night or 3-night bookings. The rest were over 4-night stays. So that's not too bad, you know, about a quarter of them being 4-night stays or longer. In some vacation rental markets, they require like a week booking. I know when I stayed in North Carolina, they required a whole week booking. Some of my friends, they might require 3 nights or 4 nights. I'm okay with just requiring 2 nights. I would love to know in the comments below if you're requiring maybe 3-night minimums, and if you're getting that every weekend in the Poconos, because I don't know if I would be able to get that. Not everybody can take, a day off every weekend, and just counting on someone who's willing to do that every weekend. I'm not sure I'm willing to do that just yet until I'm certain that people are doing that themselves. So for now, a 2-night weekend's enough. It would be awesome if every weekend was a 3-night minimum. It definitely increased the revenues. Let me know in the comments below what you're doing. And oh, by the way, if you're liking this video, if you like content like this, please consider subscribing and giving us a big thumbs up on this video. All right, let me go on to the next thing. Before I do that, just a quick note. I have a 5-bedroom, a 6-bedroom, and a 7-bedroom unit. So you would naturally think that the more bedrooms you have, you'd be making more revenue. For example, our 5-bedroom made $22,000 per bedroom. If you divide it out by bedroom, it's $22,000 per bedroom. And our 6-bedroom made $30,000 per bedroom. So that kind of makes sense. But what's interesting is our 7-bedroom, you would think would probably make more than $30,000 a bedroom. It actually made $26,000 per bedroom, which is more than the 5-bedroom, but less than the 6. So how do you explain that? Well, this was our first year with that home, first full year, and we started in January. So we probably had a slower start than you normally would with our 6-bedroom, which has had 3 years of momentum. So that's the one thing, is that our 7-bedroom January revenue was probably 50% of what it really could be. And the other thing too is our 6-bedroom, I think, is really punching above its weight class. It is not your ordinary 6-bedroom. I would not use that as an ordinary 6-bedroom performance. It's got its own volleyball court, and it's just very unique. It's got a huge game room. And so that is punching above its weight class. I think for a 6-bedroom, it's doing exceptionally well. So I think those two factors kind of explain why maybe our 7-bedroom is not more than our 6-bedroom. When you talk about dollar revenue per bedroom, which is an interesting metric, because a lot of times people use, like when they're buying or selling a home or renting a home, they use dollar per square feet. I'm trying to come up with a dollars per bedroom, so that if I buy a 4-bedroom or a 3-bedroom in the Poconos versus a 5 or 6-bedroom, I can kind of estimate revenue that way as well. All right, let's go on to the expenses. The expenses. This is how much money we spent, dang it. We spent $296,000 that year in expenses. Now that does not include the mortgage, okay? So the reason why I'm not including the mortgage is because that varies for any type of investor. Some investors might want to pay cash because they have to just to get the deal these days, or some people putting down as little as they can, right? So if I tell you what the numbers are without the mortgage, then at least that way you can kind of compare more apples to apples. That makes sense? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. All right, so now let's look at a breakdown of these expenses. The most money I spend is on, guess what? Cleaning, towels, linens, the essentials. We don't provide our own sheets and get them washed. We have a service bring it in. It's one less thing I need to worry about. We spent $74,000 a year on all that, which comes out to 25%. So that might be a good rough estimate. Again, let me know in the comments if you're seeing about 25% of your expenses going towards those things. And it might be a little different if you have your own towels and stuff like that, but still count how many towels you have to replace and the cost to wash that and all that. 25% of your expenses will be going towards cleaning, towels, linens, and all that stuff. The second most highest expense is improvements. So we spent $51,000, which is 17% of our expenses. Now that's pretty high. Now, obviously, if you're like building a home just for Airbnb and it's brand new, you're probably not going to have that number, which is that $51,000 is going to go straight to the bottom line. But for us, we're buying resales, couple years old. They're not like dilapidated or anything, but we put in a wheelchair accessible ramp. Let's just say that. And so on one of our homes, we wanted to test to see if we can get more handicap or wheelchair type audience or guests for our home. So an audience, yeah, no, I mean guests. So we're just experimenting with that. So we spent money on this ramp. We spent money on these 2 bathrooms that we renovated and had the hardest time finding great vendors because the Pocono vendors, well, anyways, different video, but let me just say that that's the hardest part of management, is finding good vendors. So we did the bathroom, we did the ramp, we did maybe some kitchen. So we did a little bit of remodeling that $51,000 is quite a bit. Okay, now the third highest expense is HOA insurance and taxes. So again, that's gonna vary per house, per neighborhood. I did not leave that out like I did mortgage, because every house is gonna have either some form of HOA, maybe not, but they're gonna have insurance, they're gonna have property taxes. So that was $39,000 a year, about 13%. Maintenance is our fourth most highest expense. That's $37,000 a year. This is your typical handyman work where, maybe you walk through after a guest and you see things are broken, just repairs and that type of thing. I think I also lump into that maybe things that we buy off Amazon to replenish things that are broken. So that's 13% of our expenses, $37,000 a year. Utilities, we spend $30,000 a year, which is about 10%. Advertising, which I count as platform fees, pretty much 90% of that $25,000 that we spend is the money that we spend on Airbnb and Vrbo, like the platform fees. We consider that advertising. 8.5%, that comes out to about 8.5%. For management, we spent about $22,000 last year, which really is not bad because that's only 7.5%. Now, if I was to turn this entire operation over to someone to manage a whole enchilada, that would probably be about 20 to 30%. So the fact that I'm piecemealing it out and basically forming a business and my own operation around this and just having people do specific parts, basically I'm the manager. I'm spending about 7.5% on, I guess you could say, human labor, human resourcing for all of what I'm doing to manage this business. So 22,000 is really not that bad. And then lastly, I guess you could call miscellaneous about 18,000, which is the remaining 6% on pest control, trash, hot tub cleaning, hot tub testing, that type of stuff, yard work. Okay, so that's all that makes up $296,000, which accounts for a lot of credit card points. You're spending a lot of money on your Airbnbs. So make sure you get a good credit card where you can at least take advantage of those points. All right, so how does this look like in terms of returns? Well, we have average revenues of $472,000. I'm gonna round it this time. And average expenses or annual expenses of $296,000, which leaves an NOI. NOI stands for net operating income. That does not include my mortgage payment. An NOI of $176,000 a year for those three properties. Now, I do want to note that my mortgage is about $70,000 a year, and that's about to go way up because I'm doing all these cash out refinancings and I'm pulling the money out just so I can invest in other properties in the future. But why would I do that? Why would I want my expenses to go way up? Why would I want my mortgage to go way up? Well, by pulling this money out, number one, my revenue still covers my expenses, which is super important. But number two, after I do my cash out refi, my startup cost to own these three properties is now reduced to just $79,000, meaning I put a good chunk of money into these homes to acquire them, and they're spitting out this return. But once I do this cash out refi, I'm pulling out almost all the money I put in, everything but $80,000. And if you use last year's NOI, that means every year I'm getting a 2x on my original investment. So $79,000 is what I have tied up in the house, and every year my NOI is $176,000. So that's an amazing cash on cash return. So that's the other reason why I'm doing it. Not only am I able to still cover my expenses, I'm gonna have an amazing cash on cash return, and now I have a good war chest of money that I can now deploy into another investment. So I promised you that I would give you a formula, a real simple formula on how I compare my short-term rentals. Well, I just came up with this formula based off last year's numbers. So if you take the approximate value of these properties are worth about $2.2 million. You'll notice that the amount I gross, which is $485,000, is 22% of that. So my NOI, again, the amount I net, not including the mortgage, was $176,000, or 8% of the value of the properties. So now, I use these two percentages to help me evaluate a new home. For example, if there's a home that I see that's $500,000, this is gonna be my new minimum, 22 and 8, remember those two numbers. So the house is $500,000. If I buy this house for $500,000, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for gross revenues of 22%, which is $110,000, and I'm looking for 8% NOI, which is going to be $40,000. Okay, so as a real quick way to evaluate properties that I buy, I mean, you could get numbers that are worse than that if you wanted to, because maybe you just love the property and you don't care so much about the investment potential. You just want to stay in there, enjoy it, and that's okay. But for me, when I acquire something in my portfolio, I want it to average higher. I want to improve my numbers every single time. So right now, what I'm looking for example, for a $500,000 house, it needs to have an NOI of 8% or $40,000 and gross revenues of 22%. Or $110,000. So let me know what you think about my 22-8 rule. 22% and 8%. Do you love it, hate it? Do you have a different metric that's better? I'd love to hear about it. If you found any value from this video, please give me a thumbs up and like this video. It really does help this channel. And if you like content like this, please consider subscribing. This is your favorite homeboy, signing out.